On the one hand, Moodle, you're 20 years old, I guess, this year, and Fred, you're 13 years old as a business. In that time, clearly, you've witnessed some incredible changes in education, particularly linked to technology. So if we just focus for a moment, prior to COVID, what were the major changes that you had seen taking place in education as it related to technology? Martin, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so remember 20 years ago, there was barely a Google, there was no Facebook, social media wasn't really a thing, there was Usenet news groups, there was sort of this older generation of technology going on, and the idea that everybody should be empowered to contribute to the content on the internet was newish. Well, it wasn't for people who'd been around the internet for 30 years, because they're all computer scientists mostly who were programming and definitely taking part. But there was this wave of, remember the dot-com boom in the late 90s, of companies starting to create big websites, the eBays and things. And it was just all new. And in education, there wasn't much. And I guess the approach I've taken is to always follow what users want, and that's why open source is so important, and particularly in our case, educators. So listen to what educators want, what they need, and follow that. We've never had a focus on profits, so we're not focused on becoming a unicorn or any, the only reason money exists is to do things. We have a project where we listen to people and we try and make things together that they need. And as a result, a lot of the dot-coms and the commercial projects have come and gone. And I think that's what I've seen over 20 years is a lot of people trying to get rich off this technology disappear or fade into obscurity, and here we still are, and Linux is still powering most of the internet, and 80% of all the web pages are run by PHP, and so on. Open source just keeps going, and I think that speaks to the power of it.
And Fred, what are your perspectives, the major changes that you've witnessed over the last 13 years?
So I had the advantage where Martin had to build a broad platform, like a full LMS, which really has, 50 or 60 components of it. BigBlueButton just had to focus on one, a virtual classroom environment for the teacher. So when we started the project in 2007, the browsers were decent, internet was decent, computers were decent, but nothing was like it is today. The bet was that we could ride the wave of more accessible broadband. Computers just got fast enough where you didn't care anymore. And the browsers became a platform on which you could build basically the equivalent of desktop applications back then. So that's the technology changes we've seen is basically the realization of that vision, where the browser today is handling real-time audio and video. There's no more plugins anymore. Like those days are gone. So here we are in a platform doing an interview. Martin, you're in Australia, I'm in Canada, and it just works. We just expect it to work now. So if we had started today to build BigBlueButton, we would be way behind. But because we started 13 years ago, we kind of took a bet that the technology would enable this. We basically spent our last 13 years improving the experience for the teacher and riding on top of all the technology improvements that in fact did happen for real-time collaboration.